The devil will send some people into your life who will be in an endless cycle of counseling, consolation, and bailouts, and you're getting weaker and weaker with every exchange. When you turn around, they're not growing. They're just in a cycle. Well, it might be that they're not receiving your counsel. They're not correcting. They're not adjusting and learning from anything that they're getting exposed to. The foolish person rejects correction. They try to justify themselves. They may even blame you for the situation. So when you run into somebody who's blaming you and justifying themselves, and you're trying to bring about a correction in the conflict that will lead to a better relationship in the future, but they're rejecting your effort to do so, well, if they're rejecting correction, they're justifying and blaming, then the strategy for managing this person on your staff, the strategy for working with this employee, because you don't have the luxury of always not doing the counseling appointments. Sometimes you're in a world where they exist, and you're in a system where you're going to have to work with them. So therefore, whether it's an in-law or an employee or someone on a ministry team, what you have to do is, the only way you can work with these people is to create consequences, because they will not be taught by wisdom, so they must be taught by experience. So you figure out how to create consequences for the behavior. So when you do this, and children can be this way, a child can go into this state, it's called the flesh. And what do? You put them in timeout, and then they learn, they go in timeout, they don't want to do that behavior anymore, right? Then they get wisdom. That doesn't work. Throwing the tantrum doesn't work. This does. So human beings can fluctuate between these two. Then you could be foolish too. How do you know you're foolish? Because sometimes pain comes into your life in your circumstance because you didn't take the adjustment God was trying to give you through the word. I'll never forget, one guy was preaching once. He said, Jesus said to the disciples, "Now you are clean by my word." And he said this, he said, "When I hear God coming in the garden with the pruning shears, I know he's about to prune something. So I get real clear on what God wants me to deal with, because I'd rather have God deal with it through the word, where I judge myself, than have my circumstance reprove me." So reproofs of life is what it's called in Proverbs, is when God sets up circumstances to give you consequences because you weren't listening to his voice. And don't think he doesn't do that. Don't get some kind of weird idea who God is, so you get an abstract, unreal God, and then if you get the wrong God in your head, life doesn't make sense. Hey there, you just listened to an excerpt. That's a little bit of the podcast. So if you want to get the whole thing, because there's a lot more content there, go to lancewallnut.com/podcast. And instead of getting an excerpt, you get the entire message.